Good morning, genealogy friends. Happy Wednesday and happy Veterans Day to those of you in the United States. I'm doing a military-ish topic today. We're going to talk about the website Fold3, which is a military records archive site that's connected to Ancestry.com. I find Fold3 a little tricky to use, so I wanted to talk about whether or not a Fold3 membership is worth it and how exactly to use Fold3. Okay, let me flip this around. I'm all sleepy and cozy today in my family history sweatshirt because it's snowing again, it's chilly. I'm also going to try to keep this a little bit short. I've been noticing that my lives are getting longer and longer. Oh, sorry, my son's birthday was yesterday, so we decorated. My lives have been getting longer and longer, and I realize that it's probably better for people if I do these often, but also don't take very long so that people don't feel like they're taking a college course for me in genealogy, which is not my intent. I mostly just wanted to check in and be kind of helpful and not download my entire genealogy brain to you guys. So I'm going to try for brevity. Okay, so Fold3.com. It's a military records site. You can get a membership just for Fold3, but a lot of people consider adding on the Ancestry.com membership that also gives you access to Fold3 and newspapers.com, which is what I have. Now, is Fold3 worth it? Well, it's tricky. Fold3 is probably worth it, I would say, if you have a lot of family members who have a lot of military service in the United States. That site, it's designed to be the home for military records for Ancestry.com, and they're working really hard on it. They have an amazing collection. It's pretty good. Is it completely comprehensive? No. And I don't know. They're working on it. And there's a lot of, I think, issues with military records that make them a little trickier than the other records. Well, and you have to remember, Ancestry.com is the bucket in which all of the other records are being put. So an Ancestry membership gives you access to all sorts of things. Military records are, relatively specific. Now, I have used Fold3 a lot for my family research, but I will tell you, I have not always been successful. And sometimes you find some things, you can find a muster roll, things like that from World War II, but I'm not finding really, really extensive records. But that little bit of information might be enough for me to find a book on Google Books about that particular military unit and learn more about the battle. So Fold3 sometimes is the first stop for me when it comes to answering a specific question I have. It just might not necessarily be the whole journey. So when you're using Fold3, the first thing that you do, it's kind of like other, if you've never used Fold3 before, it's a lot like other sites where you always usually start with just searching for your ancestor's name. I feel like that's what most people go with. So you search for your ancestor's name. If you're lucky, you get a bunch of results, and then you can filter down. And there are check boxes that you can click. So search for a name, and then you might click the Civil War checkbox if you know that that's the particular war that you're looking for. And then when you click on checkboxes, other checkboxes come up, and maybe you want to only look at pension records. Maybe you want to only look for discharge papers, things like that. Be aware that you can keep narrowing, but also be aware that as you click things and unclick things, you are wiping out whole search results. So I don't know. I tend to go pretty broad and then just go through the records myself. I've also found, I don't know, it could just be my own family's bad luck. I have some kind of funny spelling names in my family, but there have been record errors in Fold3 where something will come up and I'm thinking, this is not related at all to my relative. But then if you actually get into the record and you click forward or backwards a page or two, sometimes I will find the person I'm looking for. I also have found more spelling errors on Fold3 than I have on Ancestry.com. But again, that could just be my family. So keep that in mind if things are coming up and you're thinking, these search results don't have anything to do with what I just searched for. You can also search by wars. You can search by conflicts. So you don't have to search by name. If you look, I think there's a category that's actually like military records. I can't remember if it's military records by war or military records by conflict. And when you open that up, you can look for the newest things that have been added to, like if you picked Civil War, the newest things that have been added to the Civil War collection, or you can also look at the most popular. And the popular ones are the biggest. They have the most records in them. So that might help. It's a good way to get familiar with the kinds of records that you're even looking for if you don't know anything about military history research. I mean, again, there are experts on this all over the place. And as far as genealogy goes, there are people that just know this backwards and forwards, and that's not me. I usually have to phone a friend or grab a book because I don't know as much about military record history as I want to. So if you were a real expert, you could probably fly around those record collections, know exactly what you're looking at. But if you're just starting out, browse them because different conflicts had different paper attached to them. You can also do this thing where if you do a search, there's a button, an option where you can watch the search. This is if you have the membership. And it will email you if there's a new updated result for that search. So I use that. It's handy. I haven't gotten too many amazing records from that, but I mean, you don't have to do anything after you set up the watch. So I think I have a watch set up for at least 15 different combinations of names and records. Sorry, my cat. You have to remember that if you're looking for military service after 1957, you're not going to find it, or you're probably not going to find it on Fold3 because, not because of them, but because of the national privacy laws, where those records are only going to be available to the veteran themselves or to next of kin. And that, as we go forward in time, that date's going to move forward, but there's a pretty large block of time where you just can't get those records. And that can complicate some searches if, you're looking for World War II service from somebody who might have continued on in the military and maybe they weren't discharged for, maybe they were a career military person. Well, all of their records might be tied up. You know what? I don't need you right now. All of their records might be tied up because the end of their records falls into that privacy date. So that can complicate things. You can find some things for more recent conflicts, but they're going to be more general. So photos, general documents about battles, and then people actually set up private memorials that they put together, kind of like the things that people add to find a grave. You can do that, and so sometimes people do that for people that have died in more recent conflicts, but that's user generated. It's not coming from Fold3, and it's sort of a crapshoot as far as whether or not you're going to find something like that. Somebody set up a memorial to my grandfather, and it's nobody in our family, and it has misinformation on it, which was kind of annoying. So there's also that. I think it's set up based on this memorial wall that they've erected in Napa, California, which unfortunately has bad information on it for my grandfather. And I don't know if somebody went down the wall and then set up a Fold3 memorial for each of those people, which I could see how that might seem like a genealogical act of service, but as the person who has more access to correct information, that's a little frustrating. And Fold3 doesn't have a great mechanism for fixing things like that, so just know that. And you have to remember some of the records aren't going to be there because they're gone because of the big fire that happened at the NPRC, the National, I don't even know what that stands for. Anyway, in the early 70s, giant fire, something like 18 million records or something burned up, and it included tons and tons of military discharge records that unfortunately they didn't have copies of anywhere else, and a lot of people lost records. You can look up military record fire 1973 and see if that might have affected your ancestor. I mean, it affected a whole lot of people. So that's really unfortunate because we lost a lot of amazing genealogical data, and that's part of the reason Fold3 doesn't have access to those records, because nobody does. And you can use other sources, but that's, the best military stuff that I have used for my family tree notebook has been from my family. It's been papers that we've had in our family, or photos that we've had, or personal accounts and things like that. So just know that, it's kind of like looking for a birth record before people were required to have birth records. If the record doesn't exist, you don't want to use a lot of your energy trying to find that record. And if you're really stuck and you're just sure that the record should be out there, but you can't find it, you can always get a researcher for hire. Like I said, there are people that are experts in military genealogy, but I would start by looking for people who do, research at NARA, at the National Archives. And you can find people who are really good at military research and find their rates posted. I think that's a really handy thing to do. I don't know how many people, COVID's complicated that for everybody, but if you were looking at, okay, should I spend the money on a Fold3 membership or on somebody to give me targeted results on the specific question, that might be something to keep in mind. So going back to the question, is Fold3 worth it? If you aren't sure that Fold3 is worth it, and you aren't sure that you have enough military history in your family tree, or you don't trust yourself to be able to find a ton from Fold3, they have free days a couple times a year. The problem is they don't schedule them. If they said, okay, these are the days that are going to be free this year, nobody would pay for a membership. Everybody would just save up their research. And I checked, it doesn't look like they're having any kind of freebie today for Veterans Day. Memorial Day has been pretty consistent as far as that's a free weekend. So the other thing you could do is you could save up your searches and get yourself, just a notebook, piece of paper, and just write down all of the things that you want to search for, all of the little clues, and make sure that that's what you do for Memorial Day weekend. I have done that before when I haven't been paying for sites. Newspapers.com has freebie sites, and sometimes the databases open up specific collections. So yearbooks will be free for a little while, things like that. You could do that. It's slower. You have to make sure that you're prepared. You don't want to wake up to use Fold3 for free for the first time, not having any idea who or what you're searching for, because that won't be an effective use of your time. And remember that just because you're not using Fold3, you can still look for military information. You might be able to find things that people have linked to Ancestry. You just won't be able to look at the actual record. But it's really easy to link a Fold3 record to Ancestry, and it'll pull up, limited information. So you could at least, I wouldn't say that's enough for your records just to see what somebody else pulled up and get the bare bones information, but write that stuff down so that you know which records you're looking for on Fold3 when the free days come up. So those are my thoughts about Fold3 for Veterans Day. I don't know how long I was talking. I should keep a watch or something so I can time myself. But anyway, I hope that was helpful, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.